We're live. We are live.
We're live. What's
So,
up, everybody?
welcome. This is our weekly live Q&A and topic. so, uh, welcome. If
We
this
didn't get to go live last week because I was actually on location setting up some units.
right, which is kind of pretty much the here. I'm gonna move over.
Oh, okay,
I feel
good.
like we're over there.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was for the reason of the topic, right? So Wendy was actually out setting up units.
3 units in 4 days.
Yeah. So this is one of the services that we actually offer is setting up.
Yes, this was for a client.
It
This was
was for
for
a
a
client.
design client.
Yes.
Yes, these
Yes.
these were not ours,
No.
unfortunately.
No.
Although we will be going to that building because it is fabulous.
Yeah. So we might be coming to Houston. This was in
This
Texas.
was in Dallas.
Oh, it was in
Yes,
Dallas.
this was
It was
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
It was one of those
So
Texas towns.
coming
Yes.
soon to Dallas.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So that's what we're going to be talking about.
So that was actually the subject of the podcast this week.
Yep,
Was
you interviewed me.
I pretty much
Kinda,
interviewed
sorta.
Wendy,
Yeah.
kind of, sort of,
Pretty much.
on design and
The
what it took to get it
process.
set up
Mhm.
and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you want to, I mean, you just want to take us through that process? Like,
Okay.
what is the process? Like,
Okay.
if somebody wanted to, well, I dare say, do it themselves, which we don't
Yeah,
recommend.
no, please don't.
We don't recommend. But if someone were to want to do it themselves, what's the process there? What's the process you go through?
Okay. Well, you're going to need to give yourself at least a 2-week lead time. That's a big thing. And anybody that I design for, I say, call me.
I heard you say that today.
Call,
Actually.
right? I did. I had a design consultation earlier today. I said, before you set a date for that lease and you sign that lease, call me and let me tell you what my availability is, because we need a 2-week lead time. So you can sign the lease today, just don't start the lease for another 2 weeks because we need a 2-week lead time.
Yeah, I want to say and let's expand on that a little bit. Why?
Because it takes a long time to get in inventory.
Right. But you're thinking at it from a designer point of view. I'm thinking of it as from an operator point of view. And the reason I want the 2 weeks is because, well, I don't want it sitting vacant for half a month before I even have furniture in there.
Yeah, totally.
And it's done, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're really saying. You're really saying, let me know when this thing starts so that we can by the time it's done, you can actually have somebody come in there.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we get finished, it's going to be complete turnover. All you got to do is bring in the cleaners in the morning, get the photographer in the afternoon, and you're ready, open for business.
Right. So the goal is you have 3 days after you get keys or whatever, you're open for, and you have guests arriving, right?
Yes, correct.
Because we always market ahead of time.
Oh yes, for sure.
So I don't wait until I got furniture in there, and we don't wait until we got pictures and then list it. No, we list it knowing where our opening date is, and that's very critical to communicate with your designer or whoever's setting that thing up to say, what's your lead time so that you can be accurate about that, right?
Yes, because that's our goal, is to get in and out as soon as possible so that you can be open for business.
Right.
Yeah. So please give your designer a 2-week lead time. Call your designer first. That should be the number one tip.
Yeah, it really should.
Call your designer first and tell her, hey, I have these leases that I'm just about to sign. What is your availability? When can you come?
Right.
Right. And don't say the lease starts tomorrow.
Right. Right.
That won't work, because we need 2 weeks for delivery, especially if you are putting in a sleeper sofa, because nowadays, post COVID, those are the hardest things to find.
Here, I'm just going to do this because There you go.
All right.
Now we're in the middle.
So that's the first thing. Now the next thing that you really need to ask yourself, if you are doing this yourself and if you are hiring a designer, your designer should be asking you, this is the very first question that he or she should be asking you, is who are you serving? Who's going to be staying there? Who are we setting up this unit for? Because that determines what we put inside the unit. Yes, we're going to be putting in a sofa, but do you need a sleeper sofa? You know, that do you need a desk? You know, do you need blackout curtains? Those kind of things. So we need to know who we're designing the space for. That is crucial.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I want to say that's a question that a lot of people don't think to ask, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's
where
something we were
start.
taught to do and that we
Mhm.
teach as well.
Yeah, that's where we always start.
But you as a designer, knowing that you're also in an operator in the space as well, you know, okay, that's kind of crucial to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's one of my value adds too, right? Is there are very few designers out there who are also operators. So I feel like I have a leg up on other designers in the space because I am an operator.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I know to ask those questions. So that would be point number 2.
Right.
Is tell your designer or ask yourself, who are you designing the unit for?
Yes.
Right. What's the next question?
What's the next step would be the question.
Okay. Well, then you need a floor plan. So on the floor plan, it's not just just a box, right? And it's not just the floor plan, because sometimes a lot of these apartment complexes will have floor plans on their website. If they have a website, a lot of them will put their floor plans on the website for marketing, right? So, but that's not good enough. We need exact measurements of every single room. And here's the key things that you really need to know. Yes, you need to know the dimensions, how long or how wide the space is, but don't forget about the height of the ceiling. There's a lot of people forget about that, and then they get in there and assume that the ceilings are normal 8-foot ceilings, but lo and behold, they're 9 or 10-foot ceilings, and now your curtains are too short, right? So make sure that you know the height of the ceiling. We need to know where the doors are and the door orientation. And I'm talking about, do the doors swing out or do they swing in?
Or left or right?
Or yes, or do they swing left or do they swing right? Exactly. Yep, because that will affect where we can place things, right?
It sounds like the voice of experience. Like that's never happened before.
Oh, no, not at all. I've never made that mistake. Oh, no. So we need doors, location, and door orientation. We also need to know windows, where the windows are, and the width of the windows. So don't forget to measure the width of the windows and indicate that on your floor plan, how wide the windows are, because that's going to affect what size curtain rods you get. And then the last thing is where the outlets are, because that will affect where you can put lamps and things like that.
TVs
and
even.
TVs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that happen before, where you design something and then you got there and your TV was in the middle of a window.
Yeah.
Or there's no outlet on that side of the room. Now we got to figure out, how do we get electric to the
Yep.
So it's those things you don't think about unless you've done it before.
Yep.
That come up, and having somebody that's experienced and knowing to ask you those questions is critical.
Yes. Yes. And I will definitely ask you those questions, because I need to know. If I'm going to design a space, then I need to know about those things, right? So but that's pretty much it for the floor plan, I would say. So everything now the next step was going to be to actually draw it out on paper and say, okay, well, the outlets are over here, or we can put an end table over here, and the bed will fit over here, and we're measuring out the space, and is it large enough for a king size bed? How many nightstands can I fit in there? And that kind of thing. So how big can the dining room table be? And can I fit a love seat in there? Or is it only going to fit an accent chair, for example? So the next step is going to be actually drawing it out on paper and measuring the furniture pieces and deciding where each piece of furniture is going to be.
And so how long does that take?
Oh gosh,
to do that? So
hours.
you're saying you plan that out on paper?
I do.
Is what
Yes,
I heard.
I do. I plan that out on paper. Yeah.
And how long does it take you to?
Hours. It takes me hours.
Like 3 hours?
Yeah, probably about 3 hours.
Okay.
I would say.
So this is before you've decided what colors, what
Oh yes.
theme, what
Yes, for sure.
And how do
Yeah.
you know that then? Do you just know sizes of furniture, or
well, the king size beds are the same size. Queen size beds are the same size.
okay.
Sofas vary. So really, when I start designing, I'm really going to start with the sofa, because that's the largest piece of furniture that can be that can vary in size the most. So if you're getting a sleeper sofa, then that one's going to be a bit larger if you want a queen sleeper in there, because they make queen sleepers and full sleepers.
They make king sleepers too.
Yeah, but
I know that's super rare.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it is rare. And really, if you're doing a sleeper, you really only need like queen is the max, I would say. But
okay,
that kind of thing. So I really start with the sofa, and if we're putting in a sleeper sofa, then I have to find one.
Right. Well, that's an issue too.
Yeah, it is nowadays. Man, finding a sleeper sofa is like finding a needle in a haystack. But
so what do you do
can
next?
be done.
So you've planned out the furniture.
Yep.
Now can we get the design, color,
yes. So I try to find the sofa first, and then I try to design around the sofa. If I can find a sofa that has some color to it, that's sometimes that will work. But I usually try to find like a neutral sofa, and preferably darker, because that doesn't show stains as much.
Okay.
So I really like the dark gray and the dark blue, like the charcoal colors. Those are really great. They hide stains really well. I don't really like to put in lighter sofas like the beiges and the light browns.
So durability is the thing.
Yes,
is what I'm hearing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't show stains as much.
Well, can we talk about durability then? What do you think about just going to?
I don't buy an IKEA sofa, because you will be buying another one again next year.
Okay.
That's not a good choice. Not at all.
So where do I get quality furniture?
Okay, that's a really great question. And you can do a Google search for discount furniture outlets in your area. And I bet that you have a discount furniture outlet very near you. I bet you have a plethora of them. And if I'm designing, well, that's what I did when I went down to Dallas.
You went down to Dallas with no inventory. No, you did all that local pretty much.
I did.
I think you did order some stuff on Amazon.
Yes, a couple of the linens, and
but not
things
furniture.
like that. No.
So you sourced that locally. So what did you do then?
I went on Google and I typed in discount furniture outlet, Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
That's what I did. And so I called, hey, do you have any sleeper sofas? Great. Can you send me a picture of them or text me a picture of them? What do they look like? What are the dimensions? And so I chose we only needed 2 sleeper sofas. We did 3, but the other unit didn't need a sleeper sofa because it was a 2-bedroom and he didn't want one. So that's what I did, and that is an issue. You'll have to call around, but doing a Google search for discount furniture outlet in your area and start calling people.
And why them though? Is it more quality furniture or?
Yeah. So usually what happens is the way it works is the discount furniture outlets will get they'll get name brand like Ashley Furniture or Kincaid or different types of really good furniture pieces, but they've just been discontinued.
Oh, okay.
Or they'll be
so part of it's a price thing, because that was my question. Like, why not just go directly to Ashley Furniture?
No, I would never do that. That'd be way too much.
Okay.
No, that'd be way too expensive and not in budget at all. I mean, you could definitely do that. And we've done that before in a pinch, right? But that would be my last resort.
Interesting.
If I were going to do that.
So why not just go to Facebook Marketplace and look for?
Oh, no.
Why
you never know what you're going to get. Well, here's the thing. Then I would have to hire someone to go pick it up for me and deliver it for me. And I'm going to have to do that at the delivery store, but the discount furniture outlets already have somebody that can just deliver it for me, and it's a whole lot cheaper. So I don't want to take my time to go around to all these places around town and get furniture that I've never seen, and I don't know what kind of quality it's going to be. I'm really concerned about quality and time.
So you're saying that's not cutting a cost, it's cutting a corner.
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm
just asking you. You're saying things, and I'm challenging. Well, why not just do it this way? Because I hear that all the time. That like, hey, I set up this unit for like $3,000 because I went on Facebook Marketplace and I went. It
looks like you did too.
Wherever else. Well, what is it though? Is it the quality of furniture, or is it the design ability? Like, could you, like, if you're a good designer, could you just go to anywhere and get anything? And why not though?
Possibly, it's possible. I just wouldn't do it because I don't know what kind of quality furniture I'm going to get, and I don't want to take the time to do all that.
So it's a time thing.
A lot of it, yeah. I mean, I don't want to have to drive all over Creation and get all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I want like a one-stop shop, and a discount furniture spaces has like they'll also have probably the coffee table and the end table set, like and the dining room table, dressers, nightstands, and stuff you don't have to put together. Because that's an extra cost too.
I hate putting stuff together.
I know you do.
I told Wendy I helped her again. I was not putting together furniture.
Yes, you did.
Which hasn't always like held up, by the way, because
just a couple of times.
Yeah, she still makes me do it.
Just a couple.
But
that's an added expense because now I have to pay someone.
Well, it's added time too.
I either have to pay someone to do it for me, or have to do it myself, which is going to take a lot longer. And putting together furniture takes a lot longer than you think it's going to. You look at that desk and you say, okay, well, I can put that together in an hour. It's going to take you 3.
Right. So we're like 25 minutes in. So I want to say,
oh, wow, already.
Okay. Let's skip ahead a little bit because I want to get to the end of like.
Oh, gotcha.
I want to hear from where you're talking about now to it's turnkey ready and it's ready to go.
Okay.
So what does that look like? Like there's
so You
I mean, I don't need to know every little step,
you
but
need to get all the inventory in the space. And once you do that, then paint your accent walls first, then have someone hang up the TVs for you and put the beds together for you. And then you can hang the artwork and the curtains. But you don't know where to hang the artwork until you have the sofa in place and the bed in place, right? Because
so artworks last.
artworks last. Yes. Paint, furniture, then artwork. Yes.
Okay. And where does like setting up the kitchen come in? Is that
No,
just-
so we do that. Well, we have a team, but the one person can be, you can have somebody painting for you, or you can be painting while somebody else is setting up the kitchen.
okay.
Right.
So it's in parallel.
Yeah,
basically.
for sure. Yes. The kitchens and the bathrooms. So we have somebody, well, while I'm painting, somebody else is setting up the kitchens and the bathrooms, and then I'm still painting. Hopefully I'm done painting by the time the furniture delivery comes, and the people come to put together the beds and any other kind of furniture that needs to be assembled the next day. And then the day after that, then we can hang the artwork and hang the curtains and pull all the lamps out of all the boxes and get rid of all the cardboard and the styrofoam. Oh my God, the styrofoam.
The styrofoam. What's that movie? Bolt?
Yes, you remember that movie?
Yes. Well, he thought his
Seriously, what
kryptonite
did
was
you do
styrofoam.
with this styrofoam?
Yes.
We've
right.
only seen that about 200 times.
Yeah, I've listened to it a bunch
Children's.
because we had the DVD player in the Suburban.
In the
and
Suburban. I remember
I was
that.
driving, so
That's
I couldn't
right.
see the movie, but
That's
I've heard
right.
it a bunch.
Right.
I've also seen it a
Oh,
bunch.
they love that
Yeah.
movie.
That was crazy.
I remember that. Back in the day,
Back in the day.
when the children's were young. Now they're teenagers.
Right.
But that's what the process is. So paint, day one's paint, then furniture delivery and setup, and then artwork and everything else.
Right.
Usually
So,
takes about 3 days to do a 1-bedroom place.
right. How many hours do you think you put in start to finish? Like total?
Including the
Like
setup
start to
and
finish-
everything.
Start to finish. Like start to finish, how many hours do you put in to make that happen?
For one unit, well, if it takes me 3 days to set up, I bet it takes me another 24 hours to order everything, figure out what to order, because I've got to do that. Like, we didn't even talk about how long it takes to actually design the space.
Well, that's what I was saying, like design and
I
everything.
mean, geez, Louise,
and it's
that
not
takes,
just you that does it. So
I would say another 24 hours on top of that.
how much total?
Well, whatever, 3 days plus, 4 days, 4 days, 4 full days.
But that's not just one person 4 full days.
No, no, because I'm not the one that's putting together beds, and I'm not the one that's hanging
have
the
help.
TVs.
So,
So
I
I've
guess
got
what I'm getting
somebody-
at, the word is man hours.
Oh, man hours.
I don't
Gotcha.
mean to be
Oh, man hours.
sexist or anything. Like they could be
Gotcha.
woman hours, but I think the term is man hours. Like how many man hours you think go into,
Oh man.
because that's the term.
Well,
Because you
I mean,
do the
just
design
me.
yourself, right? But
Well,
then-
just me is probably whatever 24 times 4 is.
yeah. And then
What's
you've
24
got
times 4?
how many other people the 3 days that you're actually setting up.
So it probably
'Cause we could
takes,
probably estimate from that.
I would say it would probably take somebody,
Somebody or
good-
how many people?
it would take one person 24 hours to set up the kitchen and the bathroom.
Okay.
Probably about 24, between 18 and 24 hours to set up a kitchen and a bathroom. I would
Okay.
say that's a long time. Maybe not quite that long, but like 10 hours.
You still haven't answered my question.
10 hours for somebody to do the kitchen and bathrooms. I have to.
Well, he's like, I'm really good at
I have
design,
to
but
go
I'm not good at math.
reason I didn't major in math.
Well, I didn't major in math either, but yeah.
So And then somebody else, it probably takes, I don't know, 2 hours to hang all 3 TVs. It probably takes an hour for furniture delivery, and then probably another 2 hours for somebody to put together the bed and any other, like the desk or the other stuff that has to be put together.
Just a long time. We're just going to say it takes a lot of work and a long time because I can't do that math either. But somebody took notes and wrote all that down.
Okay,
So
very
let me
good.
know.
Let us know.
Let me know.
Let us know what that is. So there you go.
So that's design and how to get it done.
Yes.
So the basic answer is
Hire a designer.
hire someone. Give Wendy a call.
Yes.
Give us, reach out. Wendy can take care of that for you. I'm exhausted listening to that, to be honest with you.
Oh, you've done it.
Oh, I've been there.
Many times. It's just been me and you.
Not by free will. I was drafted into service.
You got pretty eyes.
I was drafted into service, which is why I said, look, I'm not putting together, I've revolted. Right. I'm not putting together furniture anymore.
John's put his foot down.
No.
He said his piece and counted to 10.
I'm not doing it. And then I had to do it again after I said I wasn't going to do it. But there's that. So anyway.
Right. Okay. We're ready to take some questions.
Yeah. So we did have some questions. They may not be actually related to that at all, but that's okay. I did want to get to Sandra's question because she reached out and said, hey, I need this thing. I'm like, hey, we're going live. Let us know. We'll address it on the show. So
okay.
She said, well, this is a very abbreviated version of what she said, but she said, what do you suggest to fill bookings during the week?
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, she reached out and said, hey, I'm getting my weekends filled, but that's about it. And her question was along the lines of, do you think I should lower my prices during the week? Right. And she'd PM me this on Facebook Messenger, and I was just thinking that's a really difficult question to answer in a text message because there's surprisingly a lot to unpack in that. Right? It seems like a very simple question, but I've got questions now, right? Like what kind of pricing are you using? Are you across the board like, hey, I just set it manually to 130 during the week and 140 on the weekends, or are you using pricing software, or are you doing X, Y, and Z? So I don't know the answers to these questions. So I'm just going to give you a more generic kind of model to go by that I use. So for one thing, yes, I use dynamic pricing software, but keep in mind that's an expert tool that you need to learn to use expertly. So you don't have to use the dynamic pricing tool. I highly suggest you do, but keep in mind it's not just, I pay a subscription, now it's handling my pricing. No,
right.
It's not.
It's not a set it and forget it.
No, you still have to give it direction on what to do. Like it will help you. The best thing it's going to do is help you get more revenue on the nights that are in higher demand. But what it doesn't know is what your expenses are. So it doesn't know how low you can go, right? And it also has, there's a certain element to revenue management, meaning I'm looking at not just that one unit, but I'm looking at my portfolio as a whole. I was actually doing that this morning to say, what are for one thing, first of all, what are our expenses across the board, and what have we brought in so far this month versus what we're projected to bring in, meaning we've got bookings that haven't started yet, right? So they haven't necessarily paid out. So assuming they don't cancel or something, like what is my projected cash flow? And then I can come to a conclusion of, okay, my expenses are $2,000. We've made $5,000, just as an example. Now, because I told her that the answer you really need to know is how low you can go on those weekdays. And if I've made my revenue for the month, then technically I can sell those nights for $1. right? Because every dollar over expense is another dollar. And if I don't sell the night, because you're saying, well, why would you ever sell it for $1? Well, I wouldn't. It's just it's an example, but it's an extreme example to say it's better sell it for $1 than not sell it.
Right.
Right. It's better to sell it at cost or even below cost than not sell it. So I always think about nights on my calendar as bananas on a shelf,
That's a good
meaning
analogy.
they expire. And the bananas that are further out in the calendar are the ones that are less ripe, and the ones that are closer in, like today, are more ripe. So the closer in I get, the more I'm willing to discount, because if I don't sell it at all, I just throw the bananas in the trash. And in the metaphor, I don't sell the night, right?
Well, the pricing software can help do a gradual.
It can, but you have to know how to set it, right, to make it do that. Like, because it has a default, but the chances are that the default is correct for actually your situation.
Yep.
Is 100% that it's not.
Right.
Because it doesn't know how low you can go.
Right.
And then the other part, so that was the first part of, what I wanted to just say to answer that question. The second part is, it could be that, because it's not uncommon that there are markets at certain periods of the year that you sell weekends. That's what you do. You sell weekends. And if that's the case, you need to make sure that your weekends are priced appropriately so that you do make total revenue. Because one of the comments I made to her was, this isn't an occupancy business. It's a revenue business. Meaning, extreme example again, if my expenses are $2,000 and I can sell one night for $5,000, then I'm done. And I'm at what, 1% occupancy or something?
Right.
But I made my revenue for the month, versus I could sell it for $10 a night and be 100% occupied, but I didn't meet my expenses, right? So occupancy isn't the whole story.
Right.
So I don't make the assumption just necessarily that because you're not selling your weeks that you're not profitable, right? And then the third thing I had to say about that was, one of the things we do is we manage our calendar availability, and with our pricing strategy, you don't have to do it with availability. You can do it with pricing strategy, so that it encourages longer bookings. So someone that books for only 2 nights, for example, is paying a much higher nightly rate than someone that books for 4. And that person's paying a higher nightly rate than somebody that books for 7. So now your place starts becoming more and more attractive to longer bookings. So the longer I can get the booking, the further I can push that out. Now I'm selling bananas that are less ripe, to go back to the other metaphor, that I can sell for more than ones that are going to expire. So I'm always trying to push my bookings longer and to have them book sooner, because those are also dates out in the future. So longer gets you there, sooner gets you there, right? And part of that can be calendar management. So here's a very practical thing that you can do, and it should be based on data, but I'm telling you what I do in my business based on data is that basically outside of 10 nights, you have to book at least 3. Inside of 10 nights, I start allowing 2-night and 1-night bookings.
And that's on the pricing software that you.
Yeah, that's where I
that we
control
use.
it, but the pricing software isn't doing it. Like,
Right.
I had to make
But
that.
you control
But
that.
I do
on the
control
pricing
it
software.
from there. Yes.
Right. I mean, you can't necessarily control that on a platform, can you?
No,
Right.
not really. No.
You can't.
And that's example of something you can do with a tool that you can't manually, really, or not like efficiently,
Right.
or on a platform. Like
Exactly.
they just don't have a feature.
Exactly.
Right. But it's based on data that says most of our bookings come within 10 days. So what I'm really doing is I'm protecting my calendar. I'm protecting my weekend 2 weeks from now from being booked Friday and Saturday, because what that means is that my calendar stays available for the person that actually wanted a week.
I think that's really her question.
And that could be part of your problem.
Yeah.
It's not always, which is why I didn't lead with that.
Yeah.
But it could just be that the reason you're not able to sell Monday through Thursday is because somebody's got Friday and Saturday
Yep.
booked,
Right.
and the guy that wanted Monday through Sunday
Doesn't even see you.
can't see you because you're not available.
Exactly.
Right. And you can control that again with simply limiting availability via the pricing tool, which really this is the availability part of the pricing tool, or you could do it with pricing so that a weekend's like super expensive. And in that case, then cool, because you basically sold the same amount of revenue as a week. You just sold it on a weekend. So if somebody happens to do that, you're not sad. And it discourages it so that it still leaves it open for the other people. So there's two strategies you can do to make that happen. And sometimes it takes experimenting with one versus the other to find out which works best in your market. Because I can't tell you
right
how much it matters to study your own market and kind of experiment and see what works there. Because when you move to another market, you'll find that, oh, it's not exactly the same there.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Right. And dealing and coaching with people that are all over from, we're on the East Coast in Charlotte, but I just talked to somebody not an hour ago that's on the East or on the West Coast in Southern California. Right. And that market's totally different. Right. And so you have to have a process and a intention to kind of figure out what do I need to tweak to make that happen. Right. So,
and we can help you with that.
And we can. Yeah. That's part of the reason we're here, is because people need that help. And I enjoy that, honestly.
Well, you're really good at
that. That happens a lot of the
really
time. It happened this week to me where,
right.
I had a coaching session with somebody. I gave them some of the kind of, because it was one-on-one, it was more personalized, obviously. Right. But the very next morning, I wake up to a text message that said, "Hey, I made the changes you made, and I got a booking for 31 nights." And I'm like, "That's awesome."
That is awesome.
Right. So I enjoy doing
really
that.
great.
And
well,
reach out if you want that kind of
really
thing. That's kind of what we do.
You're really good at it. Well, how do we know if we have any other questions?
Nobody wants to comment, which is fine.
Okay.
We live there. I just wanted to definitely answer her question because I said I would.
That's a good one.
And if you're just joining in, or just say hi. You don't have to ask a question. But our topic for night, if you want to go back and watch the replay, or if you are watching the replay, we talked a lot about design in the beginning, and then we just kind of opened it up for questions. Hi, John and Wendy.
Hi, Facebook user.
Right. So they're in the post itself. It says, "Hey, if you want us to be able to see your name, go click this link," which is like StreamYard.com/Facebook or something like that, because you have to authorize the thing to be able to see your name.
You got to give them permission.
You got to give them permission. So otherwise, we see Facebook user. Hi, John and Wendy.
Hi, Facebook user.
I'm assuming it's someone we know. But hello.
I hope so.
Hello.
I can't wait to see who it is. Any other questions? Question? Do we have any other from the community?
I did, yeah. I just wanted to kind of see if anybody wanted to ask something live.
Okay.
This will be right up your alley, Wendy. I'll let you answer this one.
Oh.
It's going to be 2 banners because it's a long question, but it says, "I'm looking for some advice. We have been doing short-term rentals for about 2 months. We have a guest who indicated they have an insurance claim. Therefore, they will need to have a place to stay while their home is being renovated, just to ensure they do not become tenants. Should we have them do a lease monthly or allow them to book consecutively on Airbnb's platform?"
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. So they found you through Airbnb,
because there's an assumption in that question,
right? So I'm assuming that they came through the Airbnb platform.
Correct, because they're saying allow them to book.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if they come through Airbnb, then you still need to have them sign the guest confirmation agreement, regardless,
Yeah, you do.
right? So no matter,
Well, we
no
do.
right. Well, they need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, there's other people here like, what guest confirmation agreement? What are you talking about, Winnie?
Well,
Woody's like talking about an internal process that we have and teach other people to do, but I mean, yeah.
yeah. I mean, go to our website, you'll find it.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, that is true.
Well, I mean, they are not technically tenants. And if you're concerned about that, then go have them sign your guest confirmation agreement and go look on our website, and we can teach you how to do all this stuff, right?
We can.
So go, that's what you need. You need a guest confirmation agreement. They need to sign it and upload a copy of their photo ID so that you have it, and it explicitly says on there, you understand that you are not a tenant. You are being granted a license to occupy the property from this date to this date, and as soon as your time is up, you must leave.
Yes, that is the answer. Yes. I'm just saying that I'm sensing something else in this question. So
what are you sensing?
yeah, so see, here's what I'm seeing inside of this question. I'm kind of reading between the lines. So they've been doing it for 2 months.
Okay.
So first of all, they've been doing it for 2 months.
Right. Well, they don't have any system. They don't
Which
have a
means-
system for that.
Right. And
Or a
they're also
process for that.
probably still in a place of I'm afraid. Right. And I think the real, so they said, hey, this is a guest that has an insurance claim. So I have something to say about that. And they're afraid they're going to become tenants because and what they're truly saying is, we've heard that if somebody stays more than 28 days, then they have tenant rights.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't.
Because I've heard that a million times, right?
Yeah.
And
you're right.
and
That
what I
didn't occur to me.
what I would say about that is, and combining it with this, hey, I'm new and I'm fearful of that. Here's the probably real truth on that. If somebody comes to your property and gets access to it for 1 day, they may just claim that they're a tenant, and they may just go on the internet and print out a lease and sign your name to it and their name to it and say, hey, I'm a tenant. And if you get somebody that's a professional tenant like that, then you're probably going to have to evict them. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they stayed 28 days or not. Right. So there's that. Right. So the fear is, to my mind, it's the threat of it is there anyway, regardless of how long they stay. Right. And so what they're really saying is, hey, can we just have them sign, kind of a lease, a month-to-month lease thing, or do we do consecutive bookings on Airbnb so that you avoid the 28-day thing?
Gotcha.
That's what they're really asking.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And what I would say is your best line of defense is actually screening. Screening is where you will have this not be a problem, because when you said, hey, they have an insurance claim, all you have to do really is verify that they have an insurance claim. And now I feel very comfy that, for example, I may just need to say, well, show me correspondence with your insurance company or something, right? Here's something we do with travel nurses is, let me see your work assignment and your hospital badge. Because now I'm pretty sure that, okay, their story matches up to what they're asking for, one, right? And two, now that I know that they have a place to go, right? Because professional tenants don't have places to go. That's why they're professional tenants, right? So I want to know that, yeah, they really did have a house fire and they really don't want to be there. And when their house is rebuilt, they're very likely to leave. Or you're a traveling nurse and you have a husband and dog at home, and when your work's up, you're very likely to go home. Right. So it's the screening process that really protects you from that more than anything else, is not the legalities of it. And as a practical matter is what I would say.
So how do you screen
Well, just like I said, so it depends on who it is.
Mhm.
So part of it is
Asking for documentation.
asking for documentation. It could be. In our case, our standard procedure, and this is what you were getting at in the beginning, was here's the agreement you have to sign. And they're not leases, but again, that's a state by state thing. Like you should seek legal counsel on like whether that's really going to hold up in court if you have to go there, right? But we do have that where they have agreed to, hey, this isn't a tenancy. I realize it's short-term housing, that type of thing. Like here's the charges, it's a limited license to occupy, all that kind of language, which by the way, the Airbnb has too. When you go through their platforms, part of their terms of service. So you are agreeing to that when you go through those platforms. And then a second line of defense is we run background checks on everybody, right? So regardless of where you come from in our system, you come through Airbnb, you give us your ID, we run a background check, you also sign an agreement.
Yep.
Like that's the way it is. Whether you come off the street or whether you come through their platform, it's always the same process. And that in itself is a form of screening, because the people that are willing to do that,
that's what I was going to say,
aren't usually the ones that want to scam you or do something else. They're going to move on to somebody else that doesn't require that. Right. And so that's part of the screening process too. And then a third line of defense is what kind of insurance do you have? And we always recommend proper, right? We want to ensure they don't become tenants, because basically you're going to have to evict them. And the insurance policy that we have provides insurance for that. So should someone become a squatter, which is what that's called, then the insurance will actually pay for the legal team to evict them, right? And they'll pay for loss of income and loss of any other bookings that you had that were blocked by that tenant. So insurance is your third line of defense, but you really shouldn't ever go there if you're doing proper screening on the front end. So hopefully that got all of that one.
Very good.
We did have some comments.
Oh, really? Okay. Fantastic.
Ooh, okay. My question is, and again, is Facebook user. So,
sorry, we don't know who you are.
Yeah. So in the description of the Facebook Live post, it says, hey, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and allow Facebook or allow StreamYard to see your name, then we can actually put your name up here too. But it says, my question is, my wife and I have been wanting to purchase a property in a vacation spot we go in Florida. Okay. I think this is a continuation. And I think you guys do more of short-term rental arbitrage. I'm reading between the lines again, but okay. If I'm right on that, but on Facebook, hesitation is, will the short-term stays cover at least most of the mortgage? Okay. We would want to buy so we can eventually live there. Is there a special sheet or rule of thumb to estimate it? It's on the beach or close, so it's relatively expensive. Got it. So,
we're just about to do a podcast.
Yeah. So this is actually going to be our next podcast episode, believe it or not.
Yes.
When I'm reading between the lines, it says, I think you guys do more of short-term rental arbitrage, right? And if I am right on that, but yeah, no worries. Cover at least most of the mortgage, right? So here's one of the things that trips people up is that because it looks like I'm renting short term and that looks like it's the same thing as a tenant that's long term, we tend to think of, oh, this is just real estate but with more rent, right? And so what I would suggest that you change your mindset just a little bit, and here's the way you can do that, is just take it out of real estate altogether and pretend like, because this business is way more like running a restaurant. It's like being in the restaurant business, right? Meaning I don't have to go, when I go to a restaurant, it doesn't matter to me at all as a consumer what the building's like really. What matters to me is that the food is good, the service is good. Those are the types of things that make me, well, the atmosphere, is it white table service? Is it Taco Bell? Is it right? There's all sorts of levels of service, but it's the experience that I'm going for, right? When I go to a Taco Bell, I know what I'm going to get, but that's Mexican. But I can also go to, we have a nice place here called Cantina 1511, and it's like a sit down, also Mexican, but they make the guacamole at the side of the table, and it's like, it's a nicer place, different price points, right? All that to say, I have no idea if they own the building or not. I don't. And it doesn't really matter, right? Right. So all that to say, don't start with your mortgage as the cost basis, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because what you'll do is you'll end up making a bad real estate deal just to have a short-term rental in it. And you want those two things to be able to survive on their own, just like the real estate should be a good investment and the restaurant should be a profitable paying market rent, right?
Right. So you're separating the real estate from the short-term rental business that you are operating inside the real estate.
Right.
They're two separate things.
Right.
So two separate businesses.
So when you go to purchase this property, what I'm saying is make sure it's a good real estate deal, whether it's a short-term rental or not. Right. And that could mean that it is, you're planning on holding it for the next 20 years and it's going to appreciate. That's perfectly valid. Or maybe you got a great deal on it. If you can buy a place for $200,000 that's worth $3, that ain't a bad real estate deal, even if it makes no money, right? Because you've got $100,000 in equity, right? So yeah. So now if this is a thing that you are literally just, hey, I want to buy it to break even and short-term rental it out to break even so that we can go live there
or go visit
every
once in a while.
It's 50-50. Just don't plan on it making any money, I guess is the point. Because the operations is where it's at. That's where actually the money is made in a short-term rental. And that's why I emphasize that it has nothing to do with the real estate at all. Because you have this beach house, but if it's the only one you have and it's down at the beach and it's like 10 hours away or something because you vacation there, then the next thing you're going to have to do is either try to run it yourself remotely, which you can do, but you only have the one. So like, why'd you spend all that money to do that? Or you're going to put it under property management that's going to charge you 10 to 20%. And guess what the gross margins are on short-term rentals?
10 to 20%.
On average. Like if it's a beach rental during the summer, it does really well, but in January it sucks.
Yep.
Right. And those average out. So all the money's going to the property management company, basically.
Right. So you're basically looking at probably breaking even.
Probably. And especially if you start with a cost basis of what is this thing worth as a long-term rental? Because and get it's a beach house. It has a market value as a long-term rental. It does. It rents for something. Right. And in that vein, looking at it as what does it rent as a long-term rental versus what you're probably paying for it. Now it starts looking like a crappy real estate deal unless I can run this restaurant in it that subsidizes my real estate deal. Right. So here's a different way you could go about that. Now that you know that the real estate and the short-term rental side of it are separate, why not go build a short-term rental business somewhere else based on arbitrage and then use the cash flow from that to go buy your beach rental because they don't have to be in the same location.
Right. That's how you get yourself.
If you can separate them out of your mind, you can separate them geographically.
Yep.
And so that would actually be my plan. If I wanted a house at the beach, I probably wouldn't go set it up as a short-term rental. I'd probably go set up 3 in Charlotte that pay for my beach house, and then I can use whenever I want. And I have to share with other people, right? And put better stuff in it that I'm not worried about, like
open my mind. Yep.
Crapping on. Because honestly, the real answer is you want the beach house and you really don't want to have to rent it out at all because you want to put your pictures in there and like all your kids' pictures are, I don't know if you got kids or not, but you get the idea. Like you want all your personal effects in there, and it'd be, I mean, it'd be super nice if I didn't have to short-term rental it out at all. Right? That's what I really want. But because I couldn't separate those two things in my mind, I never thought about, I could just separate those things out in real life and geographically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different way of going about getting what you want.
Yeah.
But if that's what you want.
But I'm not against beach rentals,
No.
just so you know. I'm not against vacation rentals
Not at
either.
Not at all.
I think they tend to be a little seasonal, but if I were going to do it, I wouldn't try to shoehorn it all into my like vacation home. Like I would go get 4 of them down there that like that's all they do, and then I would go build my own property management company around that and have those cash flow to do the 5th one that I actually want to have as my personal residence. Right.
Right.
Maybe that's more than you wanted to know, but. Just want someone else to pay my future beach house. Yeah.
Oh, put that up there.
And that's that. Yeah. And that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sure. And that's the way to do it.
Yep. For sure.
But just know that there's no margin there.
Yep.
So you might be feeding that thing if you do it that way.
Yeah. Buy it right.
And the other way is, well, I could take that money and go do whatever I want with it. Right. But for the same amount of money, by the way. Like if I had to put, here's another way to put that. I could either go put, I mean, I'm assuming hopefully you're not paying cash for it, but maybe you're in that spot, right? But if I got to go put 20, 30% down on a $500,000 house, what is that?
Okay, Google.
Okay, I'll do it with my calculator. 500,000.
Google is my calculator.
That's so funny.
Talking about.
It's $100,000.
Okay, that's $100,000.
Yeah.
So your down payment's $100,000.
Right. So
I can set up 10 short-term rentals for $100,000.
You could, yeah, like 1-bedrooms.
Yeah.
So 10. So even in our market, which isn't the highest and best, but 10 units, 1-bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That's something like $5,000 a month in net revenue. Net revenue. In gross revenue, it's more like $20,000.
20. Well, a little more than that, probably. Yeah, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I could go do that. It would take me, instead of taking the $100,000 and buying the beach house, I would go set up 10 short-term rentals that generate $5,000 a month on the low end, and probably do more like 10.
And then how
10,
long would
15
it
on the
take
high
you
end.
to?
And that's net, so that's every month.
How long would it take you to save up that $100,000?
10 months.
Take you 10 months to save up that $100,000, and now you can go buy yourself
Well, you could go buy one every year.
You can go buy one every
Instead
year.
of taking the $100,000 and being like, hey,
Yes.
at the end of
Yes.
30 years, I'll have a beach house.
Yes.
Why don't we just like buy one every year?
Yes.
And
Or
all I
every
did
10
was
months.
change the sequence of things.
Yeah.
Change the sequence. That's all I did.
Yep. There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Good question.
Yep. No worries.
Absolutely fabulous question. I like it.
I do.
Yep. All right. You got it. Oh, wait. Put that up there. Not.
Okay.
Jose.
Jose.
Awesome.
Yeah. No worries.
All right. I heard of you guys from the kingdom. Yep.
Okay.
We've been in the kingdom for quite some time.
2020. Yeah. That was the big, what do we call that? Pandemic of 2020. I call it the great debacle of March 2020 because we lost all our revenue.
Oh,
Yeah.
my.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
hey, we made it through.
we did. And you know what?
We made it through.
Yes. 2020 ended up being our highest grossing revenue to that point. Year to that
because
point.
we learned how to pivot because we had to.
Yeah.
We had to. Otherwise, we were gonna not survive.
Yeah, that's the other good point. Is that's what did get shut down were vacation rentals.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah. Like
Yep.
if you were in
We didn't-
Florida, especially, or well, anywhere really, like
Mhm.
they just got shut down.
Yep.
But we didn't because we were serving a different client type. So luckily, I mean, March sucked. Don't get me wrong, because we lost all our bookings. But April, May, June, and beyond, we got them back, and we were able to operate. So, had we done it the other direction around, had we had the business and then gone and bought the toys, right, instead of trying to make the toys pay for themselves, then it wouldn't have been a big deal because we could have just gone there and stayed at the beach house and stayed away from COVID, right, and still had our income. So it's just something to think about, just something that actually
Something to think
happened
about. Mhm.
that is like, well, that was fortunate, but
Yeah.
unfortunate, but fortunate.
Yeah, something to think about, something for you and your wife to maybe talk about together and see what you guys want to do.
But if you get the beach house, call Wendy.
I'll design it
She'll
for
come down
you.
and design it,
Yes.
and then we'll come stay in
and
it.
then we'll come stay in it and make sure that everything's working
Yes.
properly, because you don't want to have something that we'll make sure the shower works. We'll make sure that the kitchen works and the Keurig and the hammocks. I'm just saying.
There's got to be hammocks.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a beach house, so you gotta have a hammock.
Right.
So thanks for asking your question, Jose. We appreciate it
Yeah, no
very
worries.
much.
Come
Very
back
much.
next week,
Yep.
Wednesday. We'll be here.
No, we will not be here.
Oh, we won't?
Because we are going live on location to do a Cash Flow 101 board game.
Oh, that's right. So
next week.
if you're in the Charlotte
Yes.
area,
come
or you
and
want to come
play
to Charlotte, next week, next Wednesday,
Wednesday,
we're hosting live
Yep.
in person a Cash Flow 101 game. If you've never played Cash Flow 101,
Come
you need to
and
come play.
play with us.
And I guarantee you haven't played the way we play
That's
it.
true.
That will be fun.
Oh, in
Minnesota, hey man, they make planes. You got a week. In fact, you could probably drive here from there.
Oh, bless his heart.
Who do we have in Minnesota?
Ryan.
Ryan's in Minnesota.
Ryan
yes.
Hansen. He's in the kingdom too.
Yes.
He's in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
He said no way. Hey, it's warmer, dude.
I don't blame you.
It's warmer.
A little bit, maybe. It was like 55 degrees. Of course, it is going to be 75 degrees this weekend. So
See, there's
know.
Wendy talking. She's like,
Yeah, you've talked to Ryan before. Yeah.
She's like, it's freezing. It's
He's
50
cold.
degrees.
It's
Right?
cold.
Yeah. Well, it was cold to me too. I get it. That's what you get used to, right?
Yeah. That drive is bad.
Right.
Yeah, no, thank you. I
understand.
I wouldn't want to make
I
that drive.
understand.
But Minnesota to Florida, that's got to be a little bit worse. So
Yeah, now I'm
sure.
flying.
I'm sure you're flying.
No, fine.
I'm sure you're flying on that one. Shoot, we fly to Florida.
Now you know. Now I know why you want the beach house. I do
Right.
too.
All right. You got it. All right. Thanks, Jose. Appreciate you asking the question and dropping by to come and see us. So
Yeah. All right, guys. That's about
Next
all we
week.
got for this week.
yeah, next week we'll be live on location doing the Cash Flow board game.
Yeah. So if you're
Yeah.
in Charlotte, come visit.
So we'll be going live while we're playing the game.
Excellent. All right.
It'll be fun. It'll be a good
Excellent.
time.
It
It's
will
gonna
be
be a
fun.
good time.
It
We
will.
have a good time
Yes.
over there. So take care, everyone. See you guys later.